First week of testimony in the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting trial has now wrapped up.
On the stand today were the first police officers on the scene. They described for the jury what happened when they first encountered the gunman.
Andy Sheehan has more, and we want to warn you some of the testimony Andy is sharing tonight is difficult to hear.
When he was taken into custody, two Pittsburgh SWAT officers testified that Robert Bowers cited his contempt for Jews as reason for the attack. They quoted him as saying, "All these Jews need to die." When SWAT officers cornered the gunman in a room upstairs, two gun battles ensued. In the first, SWAT officer Tim Matson was gravely wounded, shot multiple times, and dragged from the room. Officer Clint Timmons was in a second group to take over. The room was full of heavy smoke that kind of hung in the air, Timmons said. There was a dark silhouette that was moving, and then a muzzle flash. The suspect fired, and Timmons testified he returned fire, 10 to 15 rounds, other officers as well. There was a pause, and the suspect called out. He said he was injured, and he was done fighting and wanted us to come in and get him. I told him we're not coming in there. If he wanted for the incident to end and to survive, he needed to come to us. After he crawled to the SWAT officers, both Timmons and SWAT Tactical Commander Stephen Meskin testified. The man identified himself as Robert Bowers and cited his contempt for Jews as the reason for the attack. He made angry statements about all these Jews must die. His actual statement is these Jews need to die, Meskin testified. He made a spontaneous utterance about being angry about them killing children. Meskin said they didn't know if there was a second shooter in the building, and so they lied to the defendant about seeing him with an accomplice on a surveillance camera. He said, "That must be some effing Jew. I did this myself," Meskin said. He wanted to be very clear he was by himself, and this was his doing. Earlier, Meskin described the horrific scenes they encountered throughout the synagogue. 11 fatal victims, all shot multiple times with what he knew to be a high-powered weapon. Now, this has been a week of emotional testimony, both from police officers and from survivors of the attack, much of it difficult for family members to hear. The trial resumes on Monday morning. Reporting at the U.S. Courthouse downtown, Andy Sheehan, KDKA News.